We're here for another edition of the Outlook series, and I'm your host, Mike Lippis. Device-based voice applications for warehouses and distribution centers are being driven by the efficiency and productivity gains they can provide. Voice technology brings to bear a combination of real-time communication, speech synthesis, and interactive voice response. Voice prompts tell order fulfillment workers to go to specific locations throughout a warehouse and then prompts them on which products to pick to complete orders. Voice picking leaves pickers' hands and eyes free of other tasks so they can focus on selecting the correct items. The key to successfully implementing voice automated workflows is choosing technology that offers flexibility and agile customization. These qualities will enable easy adaptation to specific processes. Now joining us to discuss applications of device-based voice in the warehouse is Bob Bova. Bob is the President and Chief Executive Officer of AccuSpeech Mobile. Bob Bova, welcome to the Outlook series.
Thanks, Michael. Always good to be here.
Now, Bob, how does voice picking work?
Well, voice picking has been in our industry for a long time. Legacy systems, server-based systems with back-end software integration have been around for a long time. The ability for voice to be utilized as a picking implementation has evolved over the last 15 years to now where we have device-based voice, which can voice-enable picking applications off any WMS, and additionally, voice-enable any type of application on the device that the WMS pushes out to the user. Voice picking specifically works so that it's kind of directed work. So the application will tell the user where to go, and they will go to a specific location and then tell them how many at that location to pick. And then they will tell the application, okay, I'm done, where do I go next? And then they go on, and that can be for individual eaches or cases or pallets or whatever it is that a particular industry or company uses their picking for, whatever their business that they're in. But voice picking is used around the world in all kinds of warehouses for all kinds of businesses, everything from food to hardware to nuts and bolts to everything you can possibly think of. So voice picking has been very, very prevalent in the industry for a long time and will continue to be as companies continue to look for better, faster, more efficient ways to move goods from A to B, and voice picking is always going to be a big part of that.
Is voice picking best suited for large warehouses?
That's a really good question. Most people assume that, especially with legacy-based systems, which are and were extremely expensive, that only big companies and large warehouses could get any type of a return on investment. But with device-based voice, that completely changes. The ability to be able to voice enable 5 devices and 5,000 devices, depending on the size of the warehouse, brings the benefits of voice-directed picking to all different sizes of companies, because it makes a lot of sense now. You don't necessarily have to pay for a whole bunch of server and back-end integration if you've only got 5 or 20 people picking. Now, with device-based voice, all you're doing is adding voice capability to the individual devices and only the licenses that you need for the people that use it. So now it becomes ubiquitous technology that any company can use, especially if they've got picking that requires some complex implementations, whether it's lots of pieces or eaches or food. I mean, there's all kinds of interesting implementations for voice picking out there. But now with the device-based type of implementation for voice, any warehouse can take advantage of that type of technology.
Is voice picking more cost-effective than pick-to-light?
There are implementations where pick-to-light make a lot of sense. There are a lot more implementations where voice makes a lot more sense. The ability to be able to be very, very flexible with device-based voice implementations, you can make changes, you can add products, you can put different workflows in, you can add applications. There's so much more you can do and it makes it so much more flexible. And one of the things we've found, especially over the last 2 years, is the company's ability to change on the fly, be very agile, be very flexible in terms of their workflows. Having a device-based voice solution that you can upgrade or change within minutes so that you can take advantage of everything that's going on in the industry is very, very impressive. A Pick-to-Light does not have that kind of flexibility. Again, it's a good technology, and there are instances where it makes a lot of sense. But for the most part, voice and device-based voice implementations give a level of flexibility and a level of scalability that Pick-to-Light just doesn't have.
Now, can voice technology be used outside of a warehouse?
Absolutely. In fact, that's our fastest growing market. Outside the four walls, we call it mobile inspection, maintenance, and repair. Organizations that want to be able to keep their workers' eyes on their job, or on, as we like to say, hands on the wrench, and listen to voice-directed, did you do this? Is it within this tolerance? Basically what they're doing is they're collecting data and information outside the warehouse while actively fixing or measuring a methodology of something. So a device-based voice solution allows for that capability because it doesn't have to be connected to the internet, doesn't have to be connected to a server. In fact, many times a lot of these applications need to work offline. And a device-based voice solution like AccuSpeech allows that to occur so people can collect data or fix whatever it is that they're working on in the middle of a desert or 10 feet underground or whatever they're doing, not connected to the network, and still utilize voice and that for the speech-to-text and text-to-speech to collect data and also get critical information to do whatever it is they're doing. So this is a newer type of an implementation for voice, and we're very excited to be at the leading edge of that.
Is voice technology helpful when pickers need to lift heavy items?
Absolutely. In fact, we have a very good customer, Rigid Tool, that went to voice, and that was one of the key reasons that they did. Rigid Tools, of course, is a very large tool manufacturer, obviously, and they have these huge tool wrenches and stuff that fix trains, for instance.
Wow.
We've been in those warehouses, and some of those tools are just so heavy, and they're cumbersome, they're hard to lift, even if they're not heavy, they're bulky. And going to voice was a critical way for them to keep their workers safe and also be able to have them utilize both hands when they needed to lift heavy items. In fact, even when you're in a standard case-picking warehouse, there are some times when things are off to the side and you have to pick them up. Being able to have voice so that you can be safe and lift properly and do the correct things makes a big difference. So absolutely, that is always a consideration when looking at voice.
Now, is there a role for voice picking in cold and deep freeze environments?
So much so, in fact, that was one of the original uses for voice. The ability to pick in a cold environment vegetables, dairy products, and be able to utilize your hands, and that your hands had gloves on because it's cold.
Right.
The ability to utilize voice, text-to-speech, and speech-to-text so that you can pick in cold environments is one of the reasons why companies like Zebra, in fact, have devices specifically designated for that, and their headsets are also tested for freezer environments. So the ability to use voice picking, any type of voice application in deep freeze environments has always been a requirement for vendors like AccuSpeech, and certainly will continue to be so.
Now, how advantageous are voice picking solutions which offer speech recognition with barcode scanning or include display tools such as smart glasses?
You've touched on one of the big evolution portions of voice in the warehouse. The first being integration with barcode scanning. When users combine barcode scanning and voice automation, the difference is scintillating. I mean, you have the ability to be able to go to a location and scan it and not necessarily have to say multiple digits and wait for confirmation. You can scan it immediately, a nanosecond, you're done, and then it says, okay, pick 5, and then you scan 5 and you're finished. Just a combination of that simple example shows how compelling those combined technologies are. The whole point of device-based voice is to be able to be an augmentative type of an addition. You can utilize voice automation on the device with barcode scanners. And again, like the 4000 from Motorola, the glasses that they have, we've completely voice integrated with those. So you can utilize, in one instance, the glasses, the barcode scanner, and voice all on the same device. So you can train people faster. You can use automation so that multiple things happen simultaneously. This is the evolution of device-based voice, being able to be a key component in a family of products that's going to give you the best overall user experience and give you the best productivity and accuracy that you can get. And as more and more devices come up with more and more features and benefits and add-ons, we will continue to be able to be a technology that can glue all that together so people can utilize it most effectively.
Now, what is cross-docking, and how can device-based voice be utilized in conjunction with it?
Cross-docking, in fact, we've got customers using voice for cross-docking, allows for faster loading and unloading of trucks. And when you've got lots of trucks coming in, there are warehouses with anywhere between 25 and 100 bays. And things can be coming in and going out, and one have to come off one truck and go to another. That's really a simplistic way to look at cross-docking. And being able to fulfill orders for a truck, if you can hear, okay, you need to go here and then take this over here, instead of having to always look down or look at a pick list or whatever, can make it so much faster and more accurate. The ability of device-based voice allows for us to be able to go into our customers and take a look at which applications could potentially benefit from voice automation the most. And we've got customers that use it specifically for cross-docking, primarily because it helps speed up the implementation and it makes it more accurate. There's much fewer errors. So the entire point is to partner with your customer to see where automated voice is going to make the most sense, and sometimes it's cross-docking.
How is pick by line different from cross-docking?
Well, again, cross-docking is more of a shipping and receiving implementation, where pick by line is a picking implementation. So they're kind of different in that sometimes they don't even appear in the same place. But the good news is that regardless of how you're doing your business, what WMS you use, what implementation you want to have, voice automation can be optimized for whatever workflow that you want to use. So that's the real benefit, in that you can take a look at any implementation that you have and see where automating that workflow with voice is going to have the biggest impact.
Now, with regard to the picking to conveyor warehouse process, how can voice picking help move inventory?
The whole idea is to make people more productive and more accurate. And the ability to integrate that with conveyors is a very compelling solution. In fact, we have worked with companies. Now we have a customer where we have, in fact, voice automated a pallet builder. It's all automated, and they speak to the person, the products come off the conveyor, and they build a pallet, and our voice technology tells them exactly how to build that pallet as the products come off the conveyor. So instead of having to guess on where to put it, how many, which one, because they build multiple pallets at the same time, utilizing voice allows for the right building, doing it the right way, and exactly the right products. So as voice automation continues to evolve, in addition to providing a good user experience, we're also integrating with pallet building. We're integrating with robotics. We're integrating with all kinds of things where a user can interface with this technology. It can interface with hardware, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a barcode scanner. It can be any of these things. and optimize that workflow and make it easier for the worker to do their job as best as possible.
How can voice technology help with put away?
Well, like any other application, depending upon how the workflow is designed, the ability to be able to listen and look and take product and put it exactly where it's supposed to go and understand what those workflows look like and how to make them better, you can utilize speech to text and text to speech in ways to direct workers, but also to provide data collection. So as you continue down the road of continuous improvement, which every customer we have is always on the continuous improvement cycle, you can take a look at how you're doing what you're doing and how you make it better. With Put Away, it allows for better inventory counts. It allows for knowing where everything is. It really helps with making sure that everything is supposed to be where it's supposed to be and exactly how much of it you have. The whole idea is to use it so that, again, better user experience, more productivity, and more accuracy.
Does voice picking result in more accurate inventory counts?
It can. Again, even when we're talking about Put Away, the ability to know where everything is, be able to measure it, be able to know where it came from, all that data is collected by the WMS, but the data collection at the edge is a real important area for all warehouses now. They want to understand exactly where things are and how they're being touched and how many touches they have on them. So when you can really start to measure all that, voice allows for, again, accurate counting especially if you're doing cycle counting. If you're trying to take a look at what specific cycles your inventory is going through so you can count your turns so that you can understand when you need to reorder, all that becomes important. And the accuracy and quality of that data is significant in terms of any type of reporting that you're going to analyze. So voice can be a big help in making sure that data is fast and accurate so that people can make intelligent decisions.
Does voice picking deliver a measurable ROI for distribution centers in the form of a higher perfect order rate and faster shipping times?
I would say that the ROI for warehousing and distribution for voice automation, picking in any application for that, results in higher productivity, which in fact does mean faster shipping times, but also in terms of a higher perfect order rate, yes, it improves accuracy every time it gets implemented. So when you look at where you are, and most of these companies that we deal with are already 99%. I mean, what they do very, very well. But since there's such a high density, going up 0.5% means a lot. So if you can voice automate workflows so that folks are 20% faster, right? And you decrease the error rate by half, and even if it's small, all of that is going to have a significant impact on profitability and also on workflow speed and basically your customer's experience in terms of when they order something and when they get it and is it the right thing. So these are benefits that voice in the warehouse have been offering for a long time. The ability now to be flexible and have it all on devices and be able to utilize voice for lots of different applications just extrapolates the capability for ROI because you can do it, implement it on more workflows and more devices so that you get a even faster ROI than before.
How much training is required to begin utilizing voice picking?
Back when legacy systems ruled the world, every single person had to have a training file, and you had to spend hours voice training, and that's how they got such great recognition scores. With device-based voice, that all goes away because there is no server. You don't need voice training anymore. That has all gone. The ability to train someone to speak to a device and understand how the new workflows work, we have what's called user acceptance testing, and we usually do it. It takes a week, and it takes a week per language because we support multiple languages around the world, and we support multiple languages in single warehouses and on single device. So that training really is more a matter of relearning the workflow. The good news is we generally voice automate workflows they're already very familiar with. Many of the applications that we do are already on barcode scanners, and what we do is we voice automate them so they can still, as they're training, look down at the barcode scanner. It's the same implementation. It's just that we've perhaps done some preloading of data, so we automatically skip steps. We automatically preload barcode scans in specific areas so that we take away steps. We take away having to input by your hand. So all of that happens automatically. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with it. The technology for noise cancellation now is just tremendous. The scores for recognition are always in the 99.9, and this is technology now that's all available off the shelf. None of it's proprietary, so everyone can take advantage of voice automation now with standard off-the-shelf technologies.
Now, how can a WMS improve the efficiency of voice picking?
Well, most picking applications are driven by the WMS. So the good news is once we voice automate that WMS picking, there are tools ordinarily that can measure how improved it is. They can take a look at, okay, before voice it was this, after voice it's that. Plus, the WMS allows for data collection so that management can take a look at why is this workflow slower than this workflow? Why can't we automate using voice this piece of it? Why can't we do this? So it's more of the WMS can utilize the data we collect to support decisions that are going to continue down that optimization road. The WMS can continually improve what they send to their pickers, and we can work with the WMS to make sure that the workflows are optimized so they get the best, the most accuracy and the highest productivity. So it's interesting. WMS has really taken a forefront here in the last 2-3 years. Many companies are evaluating if they have the right WMS, or is there a WMS out there that can do a better job for what they do, because companies, even though they're all in distribution or manufacturing, how they do what they do, depending on what types of products they have and what their distribution strategy is very, very unique. And they start to look at exactly how they can make investment so that they can be better at what they do. And the WMS is a huge part of that. Being able to work with customers and help them look at the WMS and analyze it, and where we can come in as a trusted partner with voice automation and basically assure the customer, regardless of what they choose, our stuff will work. And that gives them a freedom to say, okay, maybe we should take a look at something new, or maybe upgrading what we have. And it makes a big difference. WMS is really important to any application that you're pushing out to your end users in the warehouse. So we're seeing a lot of folks spending a lot of time making sure that they have the best WMS for what they do.
Does voice picking make warehouses safer?
Absolutely. If you can keep your eyes on what you're doing, keep your head up, you're not looking down at anything, you're not looking at a pick list, you're not looking at a barcode scanner, you're actually, your head's up, you know where all the forklifts are, all the trucks are, you know where you're supposed to be and where you're going, and you can use both hands, when you're taking stuff off shelves. Absolutely, it makes their life safer, no question about it.
How do workers feel about using voice technology?
That is an excellent question. Honestly, there's always a challenge with change. Whenever new technology is introduced into the warehouse, there's always instances where there's pushback because they are comfortable the way they do stuff. They may have customized workarounds that they've developed, things that they can do that they may feel more comfortable with. When you introduce voice, when you introduce vision, when you introduce barcode scanning, whenever you introduce new technology, there's always a learning curve. And we find that once people become comfortable with the technology and realize they can do better, faster work, and most organizations will bonus their workers on being better. They keep, they have labor management statistics. They understand exactly how well people do and in general what the pick rate is. Once people understand that, using the technology makes them better and potentially they can be remunerated better, that all of a sudden it starts to catch on. The whole idea is to find the folks, and there's always folks in the warehouse who really want it. There are always those workers in the warehouse who are always excited about new technology. They want to try it. They want to be the first to have it. And those are the ones that we find out, okay, this is exactly how we want it to be. They help us with input and feedback, and we make changes that make it a little bit better. And then, we work our way down the line so that we get everybody on board and they can see what the real benefits are. But, human beings are human beings. Changing your behavior can be challenging. And whenever you integrate or introduce new technology into any type of an environment, it's always going to have its challenges. And voice is no different.
Can you share a use case with our audience?
Gosh, we have so many. We have we have one customer that has 16 different applications voice-enabled. One of the big challenges that we're doing, the projects that we're doing for our larger customers right now, is we are moving them from a Windows-based environment on some of the older barcode scanners to the new Android environment. And AccuSpeech technology allows for pretty easy movement from one to the other. We actually have a way to compile the projects in our software developers kit so that you can go from one to the other and have very, very minimal cleanup, so that this is something that we're doing with all of our customers to move them. And but that's happening at 4 or 5 different customers right now. And one of the reasons that the customers chose AccuSpeech to begin with was because they knew that that capability was available. Almost all the other voice picking implementations require a complete rebuild, where with us it's just a quick recompile onto a new operating system, and they're pretty much up and going. In fact, we can continue to fix it too. So we're in the middle of doing that with Cabela's right now, and we have other customers that we're doing it with as well. But when you take a company like Cabela's, they have 15 applications voice-enabled with us. And moving to Android can be very daunting, but if we can make it easier by just having a single push-button recompile so that they can move their projects over, or we can do new projects, it makes it much, much easier. And we're going to continue to do that for our customers. We even offer a no-cost transfer of the license from an old device to a new device, again, at no charge, so that people can continue to improve what they're doing, and if they want to move to newer devices, they can. We're going to continue to do that.
Fantastic. So would you like to add anything else to our discussion before we wrap up for today?
Just want to say that we have so much respect for the people that are in this industry. They're working so hard with everything that's going on, and there's a lot of negative press about supply chain, and that's not what we see. We see a lot of professional people doing professional work and working very, very hard to try to make it as positive as possible in terms of workflows. We also see the integration of tools like AI and other things so that people can make really strong decisions. And we're a big part of that, being able to collect data and feed it into AI and make sure that folks do make the right decisions. We're excited to be part of this entire workflow analysis that we see a lot of companies doing. The biggest question I always get asked is, how will I know this will work for me? And that is a fair question. What we provide now is we provide the on-site proof of concept. We can come onto your site for a couple days, integrate with your systems on your network, and show you what voice automation can do for you in your environment. If that's something that you're interested in, we would love to hear from you, because we get most of our business that way now. We actually come on site, we show what we can do, people see it, and they want it. They've seen the automation, they see how voice can work, and it really helps them make some decisions in terms of their data collection. So That would probably be it. If you're interested in the AccuSpeech on-site proof of concept, we'd really like to hear from you.
So how would those folks get more information on AccuSpeech Mobile Solutions?
Well, just go to the website, accuspeechmobile.com, or you can email me at bbova@accuspeechmobile.com, and we'd be happy to talk to you about anything and everything when it comes to device-based voice automation.
All right, Bob, I certainly appreciate you joining us here today for another edition of the Outlook series, and wish you the best of luck with your endeavors over there at AccuSpeech Mobile.
Thanks very much. Always happy to talk.
Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to log on to the Outlook series site for your business and technology news.